Welcome to episode 2 of News for the Blues. Back once again, our new show, as you know, launched last week with just me, Mike, to take you through the headlines come out of the football club, obviously post David Moyes' pre-match press conference with us welcoming Newcastle United to Hill Dickinson Stadium tomorrow for the very first time. Another eventful week, hasn't it? After a fabulous night on Monday, it's got to be said. As you know, me and Lee recorded Tuesday to go through that United performance, and the major talking points, obviously, there was a huge one with just Gana and Michael Keane having a bit of a spat on the pitch, which led to Gana being sent off. So that feel-good feeling, those incidents are all very much part of today's press conference as well, but also very much part of our week, really. You know, we've been speaking about them all week as well. Everton obviously addressed the Gana and Michael Keane situation with a little bit of light-hearted fun yesterday with the Rocky theme tune and them two boxing each other on the indoor pitch at Finch Farm. So it's all calmed down a bit now, but obviously David Moyes was asked about that in today's press conference. He very much made the point that, yeah, you know, it's all been dealt with. It was dealt with after the match. It's all been forgotten. It's time to move on. However, you know, it does bring about a few issues, doesn't it, for this weekend? So we've got a shortage in the midfield areas, as David Moyes was discussing in today's press conference. Obviously, Mail Rule we knew about last week, but it turns out we thought it might be a few weeks. He's going to be probably going to go into the new year before we see him at the start of January, which is a bit of a shame. Obviously, causes a big issue in central midfield with Gana now suspended for 3 matches. We may or may not see him before he goes off to AFCON. So it means, obviously, I would say a more prolonged period of Timmy Rabunum, who I think at times this season has impressed. He came on against United on Monday, and I thought did a really good job again. He's full of energy, full of enthusiasm, loves a tackle, as we always like to discuss on our podcast. So let's see what happens there. But David Moyes was asked about that in terms of the players that we've got missing, the shortage in central midfield. Harrison Armstrong was brought up in the press conference, and David Moyes said potentially they may look at that in January, whether they're going to recall him if needs be. But he also feels that maybe he would be better suited to be getting regular game time at Preston, where he's done really well so far. But currently himself, he's got a bit of a knock, a bit of an injury. But maybe that's something that the manager looks to address in January. Other injury news, other issues. Seamus Coleman, as we know, went off against United on Monday. Started the game and didn't last very long, sadly. The manager said it wasn't too bad, hamstring injury, but nothing major. Hopefully that means that we get Seamus Coleman back in and around the squad sooner rather than later. Real shame, as I say. You know, we mentioned it on the podcast last week, and obviously on this show, in regards to how well he played for Ireland in the international break. 2 starts, obviously 2 wins as well, which saw them get to the playoff for the World Cup final. So real shame. You know, he came back in decent shape. The manager felt it was right to give him his opportunity, and he didn't last. And that sadly is where we are with Seamus a little bit, is that, you know, his body now doesn't really hold up the way that he used to do, which is why we've seen, obviously, like Jake O'Brien there for prolonged periods, and obviously James Garner as well. The manager was also quizzed a little bit, obviously, in regards to the current table and the win that we got over United, and how important that was. And it was an important win. He said the table is obviously particularly tight. But, you know, we had to improve our away form, which we're starting to do. That was the first step, really, with our second away win of the season. So things obviously are looking up, hopefully, on that front. And we welcome Newcastle, as I said at the start of the show, to our new home tomorrow evening, isn't it? 5:30. And, you know, David Moyes again asked about Newcastle and their form, and you know, standard response really. You know, they are a very good side, got very good players, been in the Champions League throughout the last 3 seasons, so they do struggle away. We know that, but you know, you look at the squad, you look at how much depth that they've got, how much quality they've got. Going to be a great game, isn't it? But one that we're all looking forward to, and so we should. 2 wins in the last 2 games, put us in a really, really good position. Get 3, 4, 5 wins on the spin, said it on the show on Tuesday. God knows where that can take you with the table being so tight. So we'll see what happens there. David Moyes again, Chris, about Jordan Pickford. It's a regular topic of conversation when we play Newcastle, whether it be home or away. He said, it doesn't really need to be talked up in any way, shape or form. Our goalkeeper showed his capabilities, didn't he, on Monday? Terrific man-of-the-match performance in my eyes. Clearly, obviously showing why he's the best goalkeeper this country has got. For me, shows why he's probably top 3 in the league as well, which I'll die on that hill because I think he's absolutely terrific. Newcastle got their own goalkeeping issues. I'm not sure if anyone's sort of kept abreast of that, but Nick Pope has struggled recently. I was on a Newcastle podcast on Wednesday night, and a lot of the talk was around whether Aaron Ramsdale would replace Nick Pope. Listen, play either of them makes no difference to us, of course, but I think Pope's better than Ramsdale. I've always believed that Ramsdale is not as good as he's always been made out to be, and we've got the best goalkeeper in the country, so they can play wherever they want. But for me, obviously, no problem for us. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. A couple of things which have come out this week from the club as well. A couple of press releases in the last couple of days, which I think is probably important just to touch on. The main one and the first one being the fact that tomorrow they will be unveiling the Gary Speed Memorial Bench, which is going to be on the Fan Plaza. His family are going to be there before the game as well to see it as part of the unveiling. It's been 14 years yesterday since he sadly took his own life, which obviously I'm sure we all remember that particular time. Obviously horrendous time for his family and all those that knew him and were close to him. And football in this country, Wales obviously as well, doing a fabulous job at the time, obviously as Wales manager. But this bench is part of a talk and bench initiative which has been rolled out across the UK, and it's a place which hopefully will encourage conversation, people to sit down, talk to others, find some mental health support. And there's going to be a QR code that you can scan to maybe get some mental health support if you need it, which is really, really good. As I say, it's about encouraging conversation and tackling loneliness and isolation. And I think it's going to be a fitting tribute to the man, I think. It's got some real meaning behind it. Hopefully it does help some other people as well, male or female, whether they're struggling mentally. And it's going to be available to see for the first time tomorrow. Lovely inscription on there as well, so obviously have a little read of that. The second one that came out was in regards to Hill Dickinson Stadium forming part of the proposed venues for the Women's FIFA 2035 World Cup bid for the UK. It's one of 22 stadiums that are part of that particular bid. Again, fabulous that our stadium is out there. It's being promoted once again as one of the go-to venues for not only sport events, but events in general, because we are sort of multi-purpose. We do want to encourage a lot of different kind of events to come down there and be staged there. But it could be part of the 2035 Women's World Cup. What a fabulous event that's going to be. So hopefully, obviously, the UK do win it. As I say, part of 22 stadiums. So we look forward to seeing where that goes as well. And that's about it for this week. As I say, this is only a little bit of a short snippet of a podcast. We will be back ourselves with the normal show. Usual slot, thank God, we're back to a Sunday. Those Monday night footballs have absolutely killed us off, that's for sure. We'll be back on Sunday ourselves to look back on that Newcastle match, which is, as I say, big important match. Who knows where a win can take us. For those, obviously, who are watching on YouTube, which is a pretty new for us in terms of putting any kind of episodes on there. We've done it now and again with the main podcast, but this will be a regular thing. In the comments, or sorry, in the description, there'll be links to both our affiliate links for Classic Football Shirts and Fanatics. Obviously, Black Friday today. If you buy anything on there, use our link. It helps the podcast. As you know, those who listen to the podcast over the years, we've been going for nearly 7 years now. We're all about giving back through competitions, whatever that might be. any sort of money that comes through to us, it goes back out pretty much. So that helps us to be able to do that. So we would appreciate that if you could use our links. And a little bit of a nod, as I said last week, I always have different shirts on the show, of course, and the couple behind me today, a little bit different. Obviously, Jared Branthwaite's shirt from last season with his number 32 on, the away shirt from last season, if I'm not mistaken. And then a little Andre Gomez number there, which was actually a match prepared one for Andre Gomez, but he actually then moved to Lille, which was I think 22-23 with the lovely cup font on as well for that Carabao Cup match. So a couple of little different shirts there for you this week. Get your own shirt collection going. Say, I love my footy shirts. I've got a lot of Everton shirts, believe me. It causes issues in our household, that's for sure, with how many I've actually got. Get onto classic football shirts, get onto Fanatics, start your own collection. Why not? But we'll catch you on the normal podcast Sunday. Look back on that Newcastle game. Fingers crossed for 3 points. Have a great weekend. Up the Toffees.